Welcome to the Sister Cousins Podcast.
Look at us. Still going.
Yep, still storytelling.
I think this is episode 5, right?
I know, I can't believe it. 5 episodes of this. What started out being something funny that we were like, are we really going to do this?
Yeah.
And we were even questioning ourselves.
Yeah.
To now, we are 5 episodes deep into this thing. I cannot believe it.
I know. When we hit 100 views, I was like, we were texting back and forth, like, can you believe this? Can you believe this? And you guys have just continued to engage and really given us motivation to keep going. I know we've had a request for some pictures, and so Stacy and I met and went through a lot of pictures. So stay tuned. Pictures are coming, and they are quite hilarious, some of them.
They will definitely tell their own story.
That is for sure. So stay tuned. We'll probably drop them on Instagram, Facebook, different platforms. So stay tuned. Stay connected.
Yep.
Episode 5.
Yeah, here we go. So, this week's word. I mean, we can't even say this word without almost bellyache laughing at it, but and if you think you know where these stories are going, trust me,
No.
you don't.
No.
But this week's word is honesty and integrity.
So, yeah. I was going to say something, but I'm just going to wait and let you tell your story.
So, it was instilled in us from a very young age.
Mm-hmm.
We were talking about this the other day about, from the time we really have memories and stuff, it was instilled in us that we were supposed to be honest people. You always tell the truth. Mm-hmm. No matter what, you need to tell the truth, mm-hmm. because eventually the truth is going to come out, and it's just going to end up being way worse than what it would have been if you'd have just told the truth to start with.
Yeah.
And I mean, we really did as kids. I mean, even though some of our aunts and uncles may think we were mischievous kids or we were rambunctious and all this kind of stuff, and we probably were all of those things. Yeah. I mean, we were typical kids, don't get you. But we really did try to listen to our parents and get that advice, and we wanted to make them proud, and we wanted to be good, honest, and in, people that they would say very nice things about us and have good feelings about us and stuff like that. So we really did try to be that way.
Mm-hmm. And I think too, we were afraid to be dishonest.
Yes,
because we knew that eventually the truth would come out, and that wrath was far greater than not being honest,
right.
and getting that initial consequence. Right. And so I feel like we really did, probably for me, up until high school.
Yeah, I don't really think there's anything wrong with having a good little, healthy fear in your life of people that are older than you, or people of that have titles and stuff. Have a little fear about those people, and you have more respect for them, and that goes a long ways. I do see that in a lot of kids or even young adults now that don't have that fear.
No, there's no reverential fear of God, of authority, of consequence. Any of that just seems to have gone out the window. And when I say we were afraid to be dishonest, it wasn't like we were going to get a beating.
Right.
We were not abused or anything like that. But there was just this level of disappointment that you had to face, and there was just this, guilt, and so both of us, I think, we would just blurt it out because we were like, let me just tell you what I did before, it would just, you were just encouraged to be a person of integrity, a person of honesty, most times.
So the story that I would like to share with you this week, I have to preface a little bit. You got to get a little backstory with it before I can get into the meat and potatoes. So, we have been sister cousins since
day one.
my birth.
Yeah.
Since I'd be the youngest one at the time. So, I mean, you know, and so I spent a lot of my time with her family, especially when I was younger, and we would do things. And so, now this was during a time where, you know, my aunt and uncle had already divorced and had been divorced for a while. Like, life had gone on by this point, and everybody was used to the normal. And a lot of times, you know, and Aaron's mom, you know, my aunt, living on a single parent income and everything. So, I mean, we didn't get to do a lot of things.
Yeah.
But when my aunt did things, she did it right, and she did it big, and she tried to make it so fun. I mean, for as much as she could. And, you know, so when we went places, I mean, it was a big deal to us and stuff like that. And a lot of times she would invite me along. And so this one particular time, I had gone to spend the night with them and everything, and she decided she's going to take us to this nearby lake where you can go swim. And they had all kind of slides and all kind of stuff like that at this lake, and, you know, really, you know, family fun. Now, she didn't like the water or anything like that, but she
couldn't swim, terrified of the water, but she would take us. And sometimes, you know, we got dropped off, or maybe a time or two. We didn't go to this lake very, very often, but I mean, but this one particular time, she was actually just going to stay because they had covered tables, like with like a shelter type thing. And so she could sit under the shelter and not have to be out in the sun, and could see us good enough. But this lake had lifeguards and stuff, so it won't like we were like not being supervised or whatever. So this particular time, she's like, well, girls, I'm going to take y'all to the lake, and, you know, to save a little money, we're going to pack a lunch and everything. And so when we get there, we can eat our lunch, and then y'all can go swimming and everything. We were so excited. Oh my God, we just sang and danced and everything. Probably, I mean, making our sandwiches. We got everything together, got in the car. We were probably hooting and hollering all in the car the whole way there and everything. I mean, we were so excited for this lake trip. And it was just for the day, for like maybe 3-4 hours or so. But I mean, we were, you couldn't tell us a thing. And so at the time, just to give you ages, Aaron was probably about 14 and Amy was 15. And I was probably 13.
Okay, 13. And I was 10. Okay, I was 10. And this was summertime. So I was 10 and a half. I've been 10 now for 6 months at least. You know, don't nobody want to be younger than 10. You know, you made it to the double digits. You don't want to be considered a baby because, you know, you're 10. You know, that's a big deal. Well, we turn into the how to get to the lake, and you have to turn down this little path a little bit to get to the lake. And there's signs up there about the prices and everything. So before we even get to the station, like where you have to pay to actually enter in to go to the lake, she already knows 9 and younger is one price, and 10 and older is another price. Now, we were taught to be honest people until
you could save a little money.
Every dollar meant something, and you needed to save it. So she tells me, Stacy, when we get up there, now, and mind you, I was always a small person. I'm still a short woman, very short. And so if anybody was going to get questioned about their age, it would be me. Because, I mean, I was always short and all this kind of stuff. So I knew when we got up there, whoever was working this gate would probably question me about my age. And so, but if you want me to lie, you need to go ahead and tell me verbatim what you want me to say, or what do you want me to do. You can't leave no leeway with it, because I promise you I'm not going to follow what you think I need to follow. So I was told all the way from the time she saw that first sign, all the way to we parked the car, Stacy, when he or she asks you your age, you're under 10. You're going to tell them you're under 10. Now, that's all she kept saying was under 10. So I'm in the seat going, hey, I'm under 10. I'm under 10. Now, y'all know what that means. But I'm practicing under 10. So we get up there. We've got our baskets, you know, everything we need. We get up there. She said, and I really can't remember this part. I don't know if she had to pay or not. I'm thinking maybe she didn't have to pay if she wasn't going to go swim, so she just needed to pay for the 3 of us or something like that. But anywho, it was obvious that Aaron and Amy were both over 10. So he rings up those two. And I do remember this part. Now, we didn't talk about this the other day, but this guy, I do remember it was a guy. And he was probably, at that time, probably 17 or 18 years old. I mean, yeah, he was a little older than us. But I just remember he was good looking. I was like, man, he's a good looking guy. I'm 10. I know I ain't got no chance with him or nothing like that. But I just remember, man, he is a really cute guy. Now, I couldn't tell you what he looked like now, but I do remember back then remembering like, man, he's cute. And he gives me the cutest smile and goes, and how old are you? And I froze. I couldn't think of what I was supposed to say or anything. And all I kept hearing in my head was, Stacy, when he asks you your age, you're under 10. So I said, I'm under 10. And he laughed and he laughed. And when he finally got himself together, he said, now, little Missy, how old are you really? And I said, I'm 10. I still couldn't even lie then. I was already going to tell the truth. When I tell you, my aunt was so mad at me. Because now she's stuck. She's got to pay whatever the difference was, the extra $2, $3. I don't even know. It probably won't even that much. Maybe $1 or $2 at most. But she had to pay it now because I done told him that I was for real 10. And he had to charge that, higher price.
Listen, I don't think any other outing my mama was ever so mad. She was that day having to pay that extra. I don't even know how much it was.
I really don't either.
Probably 75 cents, literally. I don't know. It was a long time ago. But she was so mad with us that we had, Stacy had messed up her life.
The whole rest of the day was messed up, though. I mean,
oh, gosh.
So we pull in and we go to the shelter where she's going to sit, and everything. And she already tells us, we're going to eat our lunch first and then we can go swim. Now, my aunt was always a big person on, like, you got to wait 30 minutes after you eat because you might get cramps and you'll drown and die. So
she couldn't swim,
and so we knew, but y'all, I felt horrible. I did. I was like, I didn't even want to swim anymore. I was like, this trip is done. I mean, I never had her that mad at me before in my life as she was that mad. And I don't know if she was mad at herself for trying to make me be like that, or if she was literally just genuinely mad at me that I couldn't lie about it, or I ended up getting caught, with it. I don't know. And maybe it was a combination of all of that. I don't know. But so we go to sit down to eat our lunch. She throws our sandwiches at us and it's basically like, here, just eat it. And just taking our sandwich and throwing them at us like this right here. And we're so we don't know what to do. So we don't even make no big deal of it. We don't say nothing about how she's acting and how she's behaving or nothing. And we just act like it's normal. So we eat our sandwich and everything. And she won't help us put our sunblock on or nothing. And I, if you can't tell, am very pale. And I always have been. And I would always burn. Amy and I would always leave. We knew we had a good time when we were lobster status. Erin would be like 3 shades browner or something. She got more of the Arnett skin or whatever. And she would just be brown. And Amy and I would be over here in pain because we were, so burnt. So we had to help each other get our sunblock on and stuff like that.
That was a mess.
And, and we got that, and we were going to sit there and let our sunblock dry, soak in a little bit because we had to eat our sandwiches and everything. And she looks at us. She's so disgusted with us. She don't even want us around her. She's like, y'all just go ahead and swim. I don't care if you get cramps or not. Just go ahead and go get in the water. Go swim.
I said, Mama, we don't have to wait 30 minutes. No, you just want to go out there and just swim. If you get cramps, you get cramps.
So we did. And normally, not that we didn't like the water because we all three loved the water, but we would run back and forth. Sometimes we go sit up with how we would typically. That day, I think we stayed in the water. None of us leave. And I said, you know what? If I leave sunburn, I leave sunburn because whatever sunblock got put on me to start with, that's all that's getting put on. I'm not going to reapply or nothing because I'm not going over there and sit. And I think Amy was the one that after we'd been in the water for a while, she would go run and kind of check in with the time with Bonnie or whatever, and then come back and let us know.
Yeah.
Because I believe, but when I tell you, we had a great time out there.
Yeah.
And we swam and everything like that. But I believe it was Amy when she went to go check one more time, and Bonnie said it was time to go. When I tell you, me and Aaron didn't have to be told twice.
No,
Amy came out there, and Amy came out there and told. She said, "Mom says it's time for us to go. You know, we've been here long enough." Girl, before she was ready, we was already back. We was loading up the car and everything. She didn't have to wait on us because she wasn't gonna be mad again. I can tell you, she was still mad.
I think the whole ride home, she was mad.
I mean,
and it was like a 30, maybe 40-minute drive.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So, you know, we were told to be honest people, and that, you know, you need to live with integrity until it was their idea.
Yeah.
And then you needed to buy into it, and you needed to follow along with it and go along with it. But I'm telling you, and even to this day now, if you want me to participate in your lie, you better tell me what I'm supposed to say.
I'm going to need a script.
Or how I'm supposed to act, because I'm still probably not going to get it right, and I'm not going to say the wrong thing. Don't leave it up to me to come up with my own script, because it's not going to go the way you wanted it to. So you better let me know what I'm supposed to say and do if I need to participate.
Yeah.
Man,
we laugh about that story because we were looking through pictures, like I mentioned earlier. We were looking through pictures, and I come across a picture, and it was Stacy at the end of that dock at that lake, and I laughed for 2 hours looking at that picture, thinking about that day and how mad that Mama got about that. But you said something earlier. You said, I think she might have been mad because she realized what she had done, and it was more conviction. You know, like, what did I make her do? Now I've embarrassed her, and now I've embarrassed myself. But again, my mama would not admit that.
No, and
that
then
she was wrong.
And then when she would talk to me, under 10. Who says that they're under 10? Well,
and you were 10. How do you know?
I mean, right? And I'm only 10, and I'm like, well, I don't know. Well, you told me to say I'm under 10, and that's what I rehearsed in my head. I'm under 10. You should have told me to say. I mean, and she assumed that I would just literally probably go with 9. I could be the oldest of the last age, you know,
9.5
or something like that. But
9 3/4.
She told me under 10, so that was what was in my head.
Boy, that was funny.
But
we didn't think it was funny that day. I mean, we did. Like when we were in the water, we probably made fun of her and mocked her. But when we were around her that day, we did not let her know that we thought it was funny. And we didn't remember that story till one of our sister cousin dinners. And you said, you remember that time? And that's kind of got this whole thing started. But for a lot now, my mama was not a dishonest person. If my mama said that she was going to do something, by golly, she did it, you know. Yeah. And she was never dishonest in a way that was, that would get her in trouble or, damage or hurt people. Never. But when it came to saving a few bucks, now if a kid's meal was a couple of dollars less, you were 12. Now I might have had my learner's permit, but I was 12. Because she could save a couple of dollars. Yeah. And, she was on a fixed income. We were on a fixed income. And, but yeah, she drilled honesty in us until she could save some money. And it was, you lie like a dog. You lie and you smile about it, Yeah. And we would always, when we got older, like I was 13, I think then, and we would start to call her out on it, and boy, she didn't like that. She didn't like that. And that got me into some trouble. Because I would say, well, you lied. You lied just the other day when we were at Frank's Pizza. You lied and told him I was 12. Well, she didn't like that. So, but yeah, honesty has always for us. And my grandma, my mom's mom, she was big into, you better tell the truth. I mean, she was a Pentecostal church going woman.
And you didn't call anybody a name other than what their mama had give them on their birth certificate. You couldn't call them a name. I got another story for that one, maybe another day.
Yep.
I got
mad. You couldn't play cards, and you couldn't play any board game that had dice in it. And you better not tell a lie, because you're going straight to hell. Do not pass go. Do not collect anything. Straight to hell.
Right.
Because
Right.
she put the fear of God in us, not in a healthy way, not in a
Correct.
reverential way, but in a
Correct.
way like he is going to come snatch me out of this earth and throw me down to the
By
devil.
like, your feet. Yeah.
You were so afraid to tell a lie. But I remember one time when Mama had to work, and my parents, they split up, and then they'd get back together, and then they'd split up, and they would get back together. And so for several years, there was just a lot of chaos, And in that chaos, my grandmother, who I adored, my mama used to say all the time that I was her twin. We both loved to shop. We both loved to laugh. We both loved just any and everything. We were just so similar. But my grandma lived with our other aunt, who was the oldest sister in the family. And she was mean as a snake sometimes. She would get on us. We loved her, but she could sometimes be mean, couldn't she? Yeah.
Yeah.
But my grandma lived with them at the time in Raleigh. And so when my mom and dad were having challenges or were working on their marriage, sometimes we would go and stay with my grandma at my aunt's house. And my grandma loved to cook. And she would do homemade chicken pastry, and she would roll it out on the table. And she would do turnip greens and do the turnip liquor. That's what she used to call it. And do dumplings in the turnip liquor. And when I was a kid, I thought that was a delicacy. Now, I thought because she called it turnip liquor, I was doing something naughty. I was drinking something that I shouldn't have been drinking. Well, she didn't like to be bothered when she was cooking. And so she was doing chicken pastry, turnip greens, and I forget what all else was going on in the kitchen. And it was a small kitchen. But she had fixed her a cup of turnip liquor with a couple of dumplings in there. And I had asked for some, and she had told me no. And she had told me I had to wait until she got some things cleared out, and then she'd fix me some. Well, she was doing something, had taken something out back around to the trash can. Well, I went over there and drank some of her turnip liquor and got out one of her dumplings. Well, here come Grandma back in the house.
Oh, no.
Who's been in my turnip liquor? It was all the way up to the top.
Now, you should have known.
I know.
She knew. She
had
already measured.
And her turnip liquor was at the line. And how many dumplings? And there's a dumpling missing. I mean, she was hot. And then, of course, she called Amy in there. Amy said, well, Amy didn't like turnip liquor, I don't think. I don't remember her ever drinking it. So said no. Well, Grandma knew I loved it. And she called me in there, asked me. And I said, no, I didn't. I didn't touch it. And here she goes with that speech. Well, I hope you know that God can see everything that you do. And God sees everything that happens in this house and in this kitchen. So I hope you're not telling me a lie. Well, that was all it took. Ooh. I went to crying, and I'm sorry, I drank your turnip liquor and I ate your nothing. Well, with my grandma, go out to the yard, in the front of the house, not the back of the house, in the front of the house. And it was an apartment, but she called it a house. Go to the front of the house at that bush and you get me a switch. Well, I knew what that meant. My legs were going to take a licking. Sure enough, I had to go out there, get that switch, and she'd take her hand and she'd run up that switch.
Ooh.
Except them last few leaves at the end.
Leave 4 or 5.
Oh, she tore my legs up.
Oh, no.
But you know what she did after that? She gave me a cup of turnip liquor and some dumplings. Because I think she felt bad. But yeah, honesty. She believed in being brutally honest. Like, you just did not, she would give you a consequence. But then she'd always, she'd come back around pretty quickly. But yeah. And I don't think I've ever had turnip liquor since my grandma died. I don't believe I could drink it now if I tried to. First of all, I don't even know how to do turnip greens like fresh. How to cook
them either. See, we had all these great cooks in our family, but they didn't teach us how to do all these things.
Yeah, they didn't teach us nothing
how to
about
do all these things. So now we have to just go buy them places and hope that they're good.
And I'm not going nowhere and ordering a cup of turnip liquor. I'm sorry.
No.
But if you know a good restaurant that serves it, let me know in the chat or comments, and I might try it sometime.
Right.
But yeah, it was honest. But then, you know, growing up, and everybody does this now, and don't say that you don't, but I remember Grandma would get twisted up about something. Our aunt, the oldest girl in the family, her name was Violet, and we called her Aunt Vi. And so my grandma would get twisted up about something that Aunt Vi had said, or something your mama had said, or my mama had said, and she would get twisted up about that, and we would hear her complaining to one of them about the other, you know, like families do. And but you just knew if something came up, you don't talk about what grown-ups talked about. You just didn't. You minded your business.
Yeah.
Like you didn't.
Absolutely.
You didn't like cross those lines. You know, that was grown folks, you know, business. And you just didn't have a place in that. So you grow up thinking, well, honesty is important because one, I don't want to go to hell.
Correct.
You know? But seriously, you grew up valuing honesty and integrity and being a person of your word and doing what you say. But then there was also this little bit of twisted, like, except for if I can save a little money, or except for if I'm talking about somebody.
Or except for because your grandma loved candy so much and you ask your grandma if you can have a piece of said candy and she says, no, because you might get choked.
You're probably 16.
As you sit there and watch her just gnawing away on this candy bar. And I'm like, but Grandma, it's a Hershey bar. Can I have just the one little rectangle? I think she gave me half of a rectangle and told me to go on and mind my business.
Yeah.
I was done with it. Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Or she'd say, no, you can't have this candy. You might get choked on it. But there's some candy in my purse, and it's one of them nasty old butterscotches or something like that.
Little church lady candy or something like that.
But I could get choked on a piece of chocolate, but not a hard candy.
Or and Grandma also loved gum, but you couldn't get a whole stick.
No.
If you got half a stick, you'd be good because you had to share that with, you know, the one stick had to be thirded or something, and we all three got a third. All three got a third. I mean, like
bubble, never. I didn't blow a bubble till I was in middle school. But I didn't know what a whole piece of gum felt like.
She got the whole stick of gum. You know, we had to third our piece between the three of us or something like that. Yeah. Jeez.
But you know, as you get older, like you learn why honesty and integrity is truly important. Because I remember, like when I was in high school, you know, I was not walking with the Lord. I was far from it. And, you know, lying to my mom became just like what I did because I was doing things that I didn't want her to know about. But I mean, you knew you were doing wrong, and you knew like it wasn't right, and I would eventually confess, or she would find out, and it would be a whole thing. But you start to learn, like I got my first job when I was in summer between 9th grade and 10th grade. And so, and it was working with money. I was a cashier at the local grocery store, and you knew then, like, honesty matters because people are watching what I do. You know, people are checking behind me. You know, you just knew you had to have a certain level of honesty and integrity. And so I just thought everybody had that. And I'll never forget the first time that someone at that little grocery store got fired for taking money out of the register. And I thought, well, they're going to get the death penalty. I just thought that was the worst thing in the world.
And it almost like it gives you that deep pit feeling, like almost like you did it, you didn't, and you didn't get caught, but you feel like that, and you're like, oh my God, they did that, because
and it never even, like, I'm not perfect, but things like that, like, never even crossed my mind.
Absolutely right,
because
absolutely
that deep value and fear at some level,
right,
of being a person of integrity and having honesty in what you do and what you say, and people being able to trust your word and trust your presence in a place. Like, I just couldn't even imagine, like, taking something that wasn't mine or that belonged to me. And it floored me. Like, I just couldn't believe it. And this person I had worked side by side with, and they were an adult. I was a teenager. And, you recognize that not everybody has that level of, like, that high level of value instilled in them. And then, of course, the older you get and the more things that you see. And I worked for the State Bureau of Investigation for a while in North Carolina. And, well, you really see that people ain't all.
People's lack of integrity
and honesty, because I worked in financial crimes, and I was like, Lord have mercy, just like the things that you would see and hear, and it was crazy.
Yeah.
And I mean, you're a teacher, you work with kids, and you feel like kids these days have that level of...
Oh, absolutely not.
Yeah.
And they'll look at you straight in your face and say they have no fear of nothing. And the way that they say it, it's like it's deep gutted in them. And you're like, as much as I want to look at them and say, I have all the fear and they have none, like they believe me and I believe them, because I'm like, yeah, you don't.
Yeah. It's again, you felt like, well, this is twisted and cruel, because I am forced to be honest. Like, the expectation on me is to be, like, honest times 10. But then, like that, if we could get a meal cheaper, if we could get the lake cheaper, then we were supposed to fib a little. That's what they called it. It's just a fib.
Yeah, a little white lie.
Little white lie, little fib. But you begin to understand that it's all dishonesty.
Yeah.
Yeah. And again, my mom and our grandmother and our family, at the heart of who they were not deceitful, dishonest people. But I look back now at my mom, and she was probably counting every penny. And what seemed just crazy ridiculous to us in the moment was probably her stress of, well, if I could not have to pay this and pay this instead, this cheaper price, then my dollar can stretch a little bit further.
Right.
And I get that. I understand that.
Maybe we could have then gone to the canteen and got a snack, because we weren't allowed to get a snack either that day.
Sometimes though she would let us, but that day we weren't about to ask. We were the enemy that day.
All because I couldn't say I was 9.
You had to say under 10. Lord have mercy. And I feel like with our parents too, there was a lot. I think honesty became so important, because, like, in my family, because when my parents were going through the rocky season, there was a lot of deception and dishonesty between my parents. And so I'm sure that rattled my mom's trust and my dad's trust. Definitely. And so it almost became like the sacred cow.
Yeah.
Like, if we can't count on anything else, we can count on being honest, you know?
Yeah.
And for me as an adult, I've told my kids this since day one. There's nothing that I can't handle as long as you'll be honest with me. If you're dishonest with me, then we're going to have a problem, because you're praying that I don't find out, but I'm praying that the Holy Spirit reveals whatever needs to be revealed. And guess who always wins.
Oh, absolutely.
Light always overcomes
I
darkness.
told the same thing to both of mine,
always.
and both of them have tested me.
Oh, mine did too. Yeah.
They saw the wrath of me when they lied to me and I found out that it was a lie. And then they found out when they did something wrong, and they just came and told me how I acted then versus how I acted when you lied about it. And I explained to them that, yes, sometimes it's still going to hurt and sting if you've done something wrong.
Yeah.
But I promise you it won't hurt as bad and sting as bad as if you just go ahead and be honest with me and tell me, yes, I did do that, or yes, I did say that.
Yeah.
Than lying to me and saying that you didn't do or say, or whatever's.
Yeah.
So they have both tested, and I have shown how that plays out, with me, because even though our children grew up in a different generation and we see how they do things, but we still instilled in our children the things that were instilled in us.
Yeah.
And it seems like even more of an odd concept now, like for them to have to maneuver and learn and cope with than it was for us, and we thought it was weird for us, too. But I wouldn't have changed it. I mean,
yeah. Even though, again, it wasn't the healthiest representation
right.
of a reverential fear of God, it was more like, terrifying.
Yes.
Yes. But it did help set that foundational understanding that lying is wrong, and not doing what you say you'll do is wrong, and there's a compromise of your integrity there. And when that happens and people can't trust your character, then it shapes relationships, it shapes opportunity. Absolutely. It shapes your future, it shapes your friendships, it shapes everything. And so I'm thankful, again, for the hard lesson. But even now in adulthood, like, I can't tolerate phony.
Oh, and I think Erin and I are really good reader of people. Yeah. Like we can kind of get that vibe fairly quickly in a room. We know we are pretty good with reading the room, kind of thing. And I firmly believe that came from what was instilled in me as a young child. I mean, that I thought was kookadoo and crazy, back then. But God knows I appreciate it now, because I don't have to be around a lot of people that are being a certain kind of way that I don't like. I can just excuse myself from that and not have to buy into their garbage that they're trying to feed me or whatever's, because I too, if you're that way, you need to be straight up with me and go ahead and say, yep, this is the way I am. I'm flaky. Or, I mean, I know you wouldn't admit that about yourself, but I mean, I need for you to go ahead and say, yep, I kind of fly by the seat of my pants. I kind of do this. I can't make my mind up. And I can deal with that a whole lot better than you over here trying to be somebody that you're not. Or and I pick up on that, fairly quickly. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
So.
Because to me, it feels dishonest.
Yeah.
Like, be who you are. Like, if you come into my house, if you go into Stacy's house, you will see us, I think, the same as you see us out. Now, certain times we have to be more professional in certain environments, or you have to be this, but we're always going to laugh. We're always going to be honest. We're always going to be, real.
Right. Yeah.
And I think that comes from just that value of honesty and just being who God created you to be. Now, I will say this. It took me a lot of years to get comfortable in my own skin.
Oh, yeah. Same with me.
Yeah.
I mean, I went through this trial and error period, and I know I did, and I tested everything out there to test and all that kind of stuff. But I tell, and my daughter doesn't seem to understand it, because she's like, well, when did it change? Well, I don't know exactly. I wish I could remember the exact day and time that it did. But I know that I was in college. I know it was like that era. When I finally just looked and I was like, you know what? This is who Stacy is, and this is what the world is about to get. And I know, as cliche as it sounds and stuff like, but they say, like, if you can't love yourself, then you can't love other people.
It's true.
And there for a while, I did not love myself. I did not.
Yeah,
I did not. I was very, all the things, resentful, angry, mad, because of this reason or that, or I mean, everything.
Yeah.
And then I just woke up one day and, I am who I am, and this is me, and this is what I can offer, and I'm going to offer what I can offer to the best of my ability. And I really did change my outlook about myself. I'm not saying I was thinking that, I'm the best of the best, or no, by no means, but I did start caring about myself and actually loving myself and loving who I was becoming and stuff like that. And it was a change. It really was a game changer in my outlook on a lot of things. But it had to start with that. I had to really, truly be like, you know what? I am not a this or that, or I'm not a bad person. I'm not.
And I'm not flawed because of the way that God created me. Because I'm thinking about that meme you sent me one time when it said, me always talking about my mama about why she was always so angry, and look at me over here, always angry junior. because we did have moms that they didn't smile a lot. They did, they could be a little harsh at times. They were great moms, and but that was just their personality. They you didn't take a picture with them and they smiling, and
right.
It just, I mean, you'll see.
They're coming. But they were quick to tell you like it was too. Like,
very much direct.
Why are you crying over that? Because it happened. I mean, move on, that kind of thing. And I mean, not that they didn't want us to cry or grieve over something or have, understand hard times, but because they were I think both of our moms were very understanding when that needed to happen, when we had been heartbroken or somebody had done us wrong and we were grieving over that. They were our biggest cheerleaders and our biggest supporters and there for us, but they were also there to call out the fake phony mess when we couldn't see it. Before we had that lens developed, they were there to call it out for us and be like, they don't deserve your time or your tears.
You don't need that anyway, because that's not somebody you can build a life with, or that's not something that you can carry into adulthood that's going to help you. And, so it was direct and like a get over it, but it was more of along the lines of get over it because this doesn't matter. What matters is who you become after this, and I think that that's kind of been my approach to life. Like, you go through things and you're like, well, this sucks because I've learned this about this person, or I've gone through this, or I've been hurt, or I've, this has happened or that's happened. And then it's like, I feel like I hear my mom's voice in my head, like, well, what are you going to do with it? You're gonna use it, or are you gonna,
you have that little phrase, and my mom's was similar to that, but hers was, so what are you going to do now?
Yeah.
Like
much the same.
That kind of thing. And I can hear that sometimes when I find myself going through something and I want to go down that little pity party road or something, all of a sudden her voice can click in my mind. Well, now what are you going to do with it? What are you going to do about that?
Yeah.
And
you immediately start, well, I got a choice to make. It's like you're at a crossroads.
I can keep on putting up with this silliness over here and getting heartbroken or deal with this fake mess over here, or I can use this as a lesson learning what not to do and go down the other path, or
use it to make me stronger and healthier and deal with it and lean into it. But you know what's funny? I'm sitting here thinking about it. They would say that to us, but my mom never, I'm sure there was trauma in her life. I'm sure there was. But she never went and pursued health and like got that support and, but isn't that funny though, that they would push us to do that? But did your mom ever do that?
Yeah. But I know that there was.
There had
because
to have been.
She actually shared some things, when, we were much older. Like, I'm talking like in her final year or whatever, she might share something with me and I didn't know that it happened that way or something, I knew maybe
a piece of it. Yeah.
That, but and that kind of thing. And yeah, she never went.
Interesting. I think it's that generation, though. We've said that before on here.
Correct. Yes.
You just didn't entertain additional or outside support for your mental health, for your, it was just kind of like, well, you just pray and you just get over it,
Yep.
And that is a good strategy. But I do believe that the Lord has, given us a sound mind. But sometimes we might need a little extra help in getting to that place of having a sound mind in the chaos of this world that we live in now. Because there's so much coming at you, so many opportunities to be dishonest, to be deceitful, to be a person who lacks integrity. It's everywhere you look,
Yeah.
In our kids, especially our girls' generation, and I can't even imagine when Tannen's, in his late teens, early 20s, what it'll be like. Or when my grandkids are, Lord, in their teenage years, what it will be like.
Right.
I'm hoping that it comes full circle and virtues and values
are important again.
Come back in style. You know what I'm saying?
Correct. That is.
Quit the skinny jeans and wide leg debate. Like, bring virtues and values back of like honesty, integrity, respect, honor, just all of those things.
Well, you listen to your kids talk, and I'm sure when her son was around his friends, she listened to how he communicated with his friends. She did that with her daughter. I did the same thing. I'd listen to the conversations my daughter would have. And it's funny that you speak of coming back around, because I do believe it's in the makings.
I pray it is.
Because even with Tannen, he said something to Abby the other day. She said, I wouldn't do that for nothing. They couldn't pay me enough to do that. He said, so you would rather look disrespectful to the country or to the people that were looking up to you than to just do that one little thing? He said, and she said, he said, I know you're not care about what people think about you, but if you were a person of, you had a title and people were looking at you, he said, you'd rather look disrespectful than to.
Good for you, Tana.
Than to just do that one little thing. It was a handshake. And it was a handshake of all things. And I will not shake his hand. I wouldn't shake his hand for nothing in this world. And Tannen said, but these, and so I do think that it's making a comeback. I'm not saying it's full bloom or anything like that.
I hope
so definitely by the time, your oldest granddaughter gets just a little older, it will be a really cool thing, because I do think that with some of the kids, because there's different conversations with my son and his friends than it was with our daughters.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that their conversations were bad by no means. But there's changes for the good. I think that the alpha generation is
coming back around.
Trying to bring back around.
Coming back around. Well, I'm hopeful. Because I feel like that it's missing in our world today and in a generation, because technology took over and it squashed the ability to communicate and the ability to be your own person and the ability to be honest, even with yourself sometimes. And sometimes yourself, it's harder to be honest with yourself than it is with other people.
Oh, yes.
But I think technology just emphasizes that, because there's so much comparison. There's so much just stuff out there on who you should be and what you should think and what you should do and what's acceptable and what's not. And yourself, like who you are, gets lost in all that.
Yes.
And so you don't even know what truth is. You don't even know what honesty is. You don't even know what integrity looks like.
Correct.
Because you're watching you're consuming constant content that is, and I tell my kids, my daughter specifically, all the time, what you're watching is 98% manufactured. Like, this is not real life. Like, and especially now with AI, it's just gone to another level.
Oh, yeah.
Of dishonesty and deception of what is real, And I'm not saying AI is bad. I think it definitely has a place, and it's a great tool, but it is not the end all be all of everything.
Right.
And it has its place, just like all of technology. But honesty, a virtue, value.
That means a lot.
It does.
It really, truly means a lot. And it says a lot about who you are as a person. If someone can use that word to describe you. I mean, I think that's one of the highest compliments that somebody can give you. If they can say, yep, she was an honest person. She had integrity.
And where there's honesty, and when you nobody's perfect, but when you try to live a life of integrity, it doesn't mean that you won't ever make a mistake.
Oh, absolutely.
But it does mean that you own your mistakes, and you don't, pick up the rug and sweep them under, and ignore them. But you own your mistakes, you learn from your mistakes, and you do better. But I think when you try to live a life of integrity, with that comes opportunity, not necessarily in the form of like, I don't mean opportunity in the sense of like, oh, you'll get to do this or you'll get to do that. And maybe that will be the case.
Right.
But there's opportunities of influence. There's opportunities at a level of like you with your students, or, me with the people that I work with at my organization, or people that you just do life with.
Right.
There's a just an understanding and a perception there that allows for opportunity. And I think that becomes also then a stewardship thing of how are you stewarding your integrity, and how are you stewarding that influence or opportunity. And so again, it has to be with integrity and honesty. And so it comes full circle in every aspect of your life. Yep.
All right. Well, that's episode 5. Please like, subscribe, share, all the things so our content can get out there. And we look forward to seeing you on the next episode.
And thank you again for watching and hanging in there with us. You're part of the family now.